So I don't think nationalism has to be a bad word. And I think especially in the American context, it need not be a bad word, because America is a country founded on a set of ideals. Unlike other nations whose identities have often been built around a common ethnicity or a language or a, religion or a monarch, we can go down the list. It's a nation founded on the essence of what actually makes us distinctively human. And so the negative connotations around nationalism is typically an exclusion of the other, where the other is defined as a fellow human being. Here, to me, American nationalism is grounded in an unapologetic embrace of the ideals that thread us, that unite us across our disparate attributes, that tug on the very thing that makes us human beings in the first place and makes us want to and ought to respect one another as human beings too.
The term nationalism has been a bit of a sticking point because to me, there are really two concepts that, because they are similar seeming, are often conflated by people: patriotism and nationalism. Many conservatives that I speak to view them as almost the same thing, and I view them as almost opposites of each other. That patriotism is a willingness to sacrifice for something, and that something is very often a nation, but it could also be a principle or an idea. And then nationalism, I would argue, is the use of that thing in a kind of weaponized form. So, in other words, I find the two things juxtaposed in President Kennedy's famous speech, "Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country." Mm-hmm. That what your country can do for you is the nationalist thread, and what you can do for your country is the patriotic thread. And so in general, when I hear people invoke nationalism and they are not in an aggressive mindset, I really think that they should be using the term patriotism.
I think that there's a further then distinction to be drawn between American nationalism and nationalism in the context of a country that was not actually founded on ideals. Because my version of nationalism, or American nationalism, incorporated your definition of patriotism, which is willingness to sacrifice for something where that something is an ideal. Well, it is part of my honest definition of what it means to be an American nationalist, is it incorporates at its core, it's not just that it includes, its very essence is a conviction around the ideals that define this country. But I use that word for two reasons. One is I want to put a fine point on this concept of American exceptionalism, which is a belief in the exceptional nature of the ideals that this country was founded on. And the fact that this country is exceptional for being a country that's founded on ideals. So I wanted to put a fine point on that. But the second point, and this is the part where I'm being a little bit honest with you on the game I'm playing here, is I think that not in a trolling kind of way, but in an honest kind of way, I want to make sure I'm actually getting there to say that, yeah, patriot lands either not even inside the eardrum, or if it does, it goes out the other. But nationalists, now I had their attention for the rest of that meeting. And we had a real conversation about what it actually means to be an American with a group of people that otherwise were ready to check the box and write some hit pieces on their latest Republican presidential candidate.